Mic check. Yep, it's on. All right, let's get this going. Where are we? Hello, everyone. I'm Rap Raven, your host. Let me just quickly put the PDF on your screen. Oh, fantastic. Look at that. Is that even proper scale? Hold on. View, hide, read. There you go. That should make it a bit bigger. It's a bit weird how this thing resizes. It should just. And I swear, can't get rid of the background. Well, we'll come back to that another time. Anyway, hello, everyone. This is your host, Rap Raven. This is Betterment Broadcast. It's the 148th show. That's right. That's 148 attempts at unifying black people to practice black betterment. That's right. So we're going to start, as we always start, with the three very important starting statements. So when it comes to working as a collective with only black people on matters that benefit black issues, black progression, and black ownership, unfortunately, black people are collectively inadequate. This is a challenge that we have to work on. The evidence is out. Individually, you might find a non-black person who shows some kind of corollary towards black people. However, collectively, black people have no friends. Oh dear, very, very terrible. And last but by no means least, constructive black man of constructive black woman makes a constructive black family. These three starting statements will help you stay on track when you try to help black people. I know it sounds a bit odd if you're coming in for the first time, but when you've been community working for many years, I can assure you this statement will help you out. It will. Yes, sir. Okay, cool. So 40 values, what are they? I hear you say. Well, discipline, dedication, discernment, and dignity. Whenever we're trying to be solution-based and work with the community, I recommend these 4 Ds are what we try to practice at all times. All times. Very helpful. So don't forget. Also, if we can swear away from profanity, unless you're doing some kind of creative act or some kind of documentation, a movie, or case study, try whenever you're communicating with black people to use constructive language and sway away from profanity and derogatory terms, if possible. I know some might find it very challenging, but if you could just swear away from that while you are trying to help black people, fantastic. So, for those who don't know what Black Betterment is, I shall explain. Black Betterment is black people helping black people on black issues for betterment. That's right. It's black people helping black people on black issues for betterment. It's a lifestyle. That's right. This broadcast promotes a lifestyle. You're thinking, well, that's very interesting. Why are you promoting a lifestyle? Because through the research, we have to try to implement a method to make black people take accountability and work with other black people. So we've described that as a lifestyle. How genius. There you go. Fantastic. We're going to show some videos today. They don't belong to us. They're the copyright of whoever made them, but we're using them for case study purposes. So please don't get angry. All right. And also by this is very important, but we need to promote it more. I think where's that thing to put it in the group? Is it that button? I think it's here. There it is. So big up everyone. Big up everyone's live. Follow us on Instagram. Please tell your friend, tell a friend to follow. We'll be good. All right. So we're just now going to go to the start of the actual programming. All right. So today's two topics we're going to explore and invite others to jump in. Speaking of jump in, let me put the link out there just for those when you feel like jump in, you can once we start playing the video, so I don't forget. Oh no, I don't have it. Oh, it comes in the show, doesn't it? It does. New system. So I think you press that one and you copy and paste. Oh, look at that. The killer speed of a millipede. Fantastic. Excellent. Anyway, in you go. I'll pin that in a minute. Big up, our brother Dominic. Very good contributor to the Black Band broadcast. We thank all his contributions. Right. So, where are we at today? So the two topics are: number one, do black people from different countries respect each other's historical trauma? We're going to unpack that. Very important topic there. And the last one is, does the modern media promote ideas to separate black women from black men? So let's unpack. So the first topic is, do black people from different countries respect each other's historical trauma? So what it is, what you tend to find is, obviously, there are definitely people from different parts of diaspora or Africa, and they might find themselves in a Spanish-speaking or English-speaking country, or where it might be, or any country, to be honest. And then, naturally, being from a diaspora, having phenotypical similarities and historical lineages similarities, you get put together. But the thing is, there might be a black group who's lived there for a certain amount of time, who's, they got used to certain things, and when new people from other places come in, they don't necessarily recognize that. They might not be able to connect, or they might stay separated and do their own thing. something we try to address in this show. So, we've been unpacking it as time goes by, but what we had noticed is we're following some of the broadcasters in America, where some of the Black brothers and sisters were making their podcasts, and we found that some of them uh, had very uh, white supremacist talking points. Now, normally in African American brothers and sisters, there is African Americans who have what do you call it, white supremacist talking points. We tend to find those are the ones who they kind of like they might have disdain for the black community, or they really strongly identify with the dominant society. But what you tend to find with foreigners or people who come from other countries and live in America is they might not necessarily connect, or they might not necessarily relate to the historical trauma or trouble because they haven't been through it. And some of them might have actually coming from quite high backgrounds in the sense of, their families can afford to send them somewhere else, so already have some kind of money. And then they might, live somewhere else and not amongst other black people, or try to separate. Even though they will definitely go through similar racism because that's how racism works, and other kind of challenges. But yeah, sometimes they don't relate. And we were looking at a podcast called Fresh and Fit, which I believe is a Sudanese gentleman. And I want to say Barbados or Bahamas. Let me say Barbados. I could be wrong. And they live in maybe California, them kind of places in West. I'm not too familiar with American geography, too tough. But anyway, they live out there and they make a podcast. So basically, we tackled them because I think they made a comment about not liking black women and this kind of anti-black sentiment. So we had to really highlight that. Like, where does that come from? And they've done some other things like joke around putting Ku Klux Klan capes on their head. And we also were tackling into what they call the manosphere, where in the UK, an American European lady, white lady, came over and became what was like the head of the manosphere. Her name was Pearly Things, I think it was. And my memory's bad, forgiveness. And we were just case studying the fact that there's a collective group that's trying to, I guess, make black men aware of either black men's shortcomings and challenges with black women, apparently, and yet it was led by, dominated by a white woman. And we said that there's many off-code behaviors from the black people doing this, many off-code behaviors. But what we observed as a case study was the European lady who easily became the champion of the black manosphere in the UK, and I guess just in general because it's all connected. She then invited a white supremacist on her show, and she was on code with white supremacists. She wouldn't, correct him, or I guess you can't say correct when you agree with someone, but she stood shoulder to shoulder with his views. Didn't really push back on anything, and many of her black supporters weren't best pleased. Some were, some tried to support her. But as time goes by, you realize she was very synchronized with anti-black philosophies. And that individual who came on her show was then invited on another show. This one was run by the two immigrants to America, one from Sudan, one from Barbados, I believe. And they invited him in, but this time they invited, I think 5 or 6 African American, black women. I think many of them were not African American. I guess it's the start of our topic, but maybe 1 or 2 was. Anyway, that's me doing the back, history of our topic. So, should we start on that one? There's one more. Yeah. So that's the back topic. So what we should do, to be honest, I've actually got more content for that, but let's go for that first. Yeah. The other one will be very quick. So while I find the video, what we're going to listen to. Let me see what I can find. Any comments, feel free to put in the group while I look for this video. How do you look for video again? That one. That's the one. So give me 17 seconds, family, to find a fantastic video. Let's see I've got a few that I've rendered. I don't know which one I'm going to pick. They're all 10 minutes each, and one's like 2 minutes, so that might be the best one. Because we've been talking about yesterday. Hold on. That one, maybe? No. Kissing him on the cheek? No. The known racist, white national. All right, this one's like 5 minutes, whatever. This one's, no, this one. Kissing him on the cheek? This one. Yesterday. Right, so basically what it was is there was a lady, I'm going to open it to press stop. Hold on. Is it there? Yeah, cool. So yesterday, I dropped a video called Black Woman. Hold on, very good. There we go. Yeah. So there's I think there was some scenarios where the black women on the show was with a known white supremacist, and I guess people weren't best pleased that a black woman would do this, and the sex community wanted to teach people how to be on code. You notice that anti-black racists are on code, and yet we seem to fall for all their tricks, and then blah blah blah. So yeah, we're just going to do a case study. We're born from a brother called, I think, O'Shea Jackson's podcast, and he's documenting it. So let's have a sneak peek, one of a teak, while I try to pin this on the forum. Give me 14 seconds. Go. Let's play. There it is.
Begged for forgiveness for kissing Nick Fuentes on Fresh and Fit Miami. And the person that I'm talking about as that black woman is somebody by the name of Gladian _ on Instagram. But the full name that she would like to be called is Gladian Narciss. And if you look at her Instagram page, you will see a lot of content that would indicate that she has a level of Afrocentric vibes, especially this photo here, where she has on the African garb and it almost looks like African print attire pants. And she says this: on this day of celebration, I honor my ancestors. I acknowledge our past and future. I sing praises to God and dance as David did. Happiest Juneteenth. That sounds very interesting. Give her a round of applause, because it really sounds like she's for the cause, and she looks the part. She even has the fist in the air, and from the back shot there, you can look at that she's a neo-soul Pan-Africanist lady. That's what it appears. However, this other photo shows something different. That is her kissing Nick Fuentes. And of course, she did make some excuses in her apology, and she did actually apologize for it. I'm gonna play this small clip, and then I'm gonna come back.
Like, it was an ambush. It was to make us look stupid. It was to make us look bad, and I looked stupid. Like, and I don't like I don't like that. So the plot was to.
So there's more context. The show usually has women of all nationalities on there, and they try to prove that women are not good to men. That's usually the moral of the show that they're on. And they don't like black women too much, so they tend to not invite black women. As in physically, they don't like black women. But I think because they invited a white supremacist on the show, and to get clickbaits, and they invited every panel member would have been a black woman on the show. And they invited this lady to be on the show.
Get us in this round table to make us all look stupid, because we had no idea what we were going to be talking about in the first place. Did any of us ask? No. Kissing him on the cheek was.
So what's interesting is they invited the show. They didn't know this gentleman was going to be there, but when he was there, he made it very clear his views on black people. I think that the fact that whatever happened, they still managed to have women, dance on him and kiss him on the cheek, this kind of stuff. That's things to be very aware of. And this show is called Fresh and Fit. It's two foreign black people who moved to America and have set up a podcast to analyze women's behavioral patterns as it pertains to men not trusting women, this kind of thing.
Was a mistake in itself, in the sense of I literally sat at a table with a white boy who is disgusted of my existence, and then
that's another thing. When it's interesting because we probably won't play, maybe we will. Despite all this stuff here, it's a good case study, because there's a bit where they talk to the black women about interracial dating. And it's a very interesting. Maybe we might play a few of it because it does change my mood on the overall piece when I see that. But we'll carry on listening.
And I take a photo with him laughing and smiling and kikiing. That was dumb. That was stupid. That was dumb. That was the dumbest moment. The fact that I understand that you all feel like I don't deserve your grace. Because I should have been smarter than that. Because I look smarter than that. And I was just being my gloating self. And like I said, I wasn't because my pure existence make him uncomfortable. It was like, what you gonna do, bruh? Because you really not gonna do nothing. All this shit you popping, you ain't popped in the front of us. To me, because to me, he's now in realization, he's one of the white supremacists that it ain't up front and out with it. It's in intellect or whatever you want to.
Yeah, that's another thing. When black people talk about white supremacists, there's always like a misunderstanding, and they get white extremists mixed up with white supremacists. So a person who acts or believes they're superior to black people in one way or another can be considered white supremacist. But what they're used to is like a person who has nothing but disdain and will run down the street and spit and shout. So they get those two mixed up. So when there's actually a white supremacist who wants to articulate his disdain in a comfortable way, then it kind of throws many black people off.
It's in his intellect. The host of the show at Fresh and Fit, Myron, when he even put on the white sheet, I should have known then, like, oh, this is what you own, like.
But the show's from Sudan, a country that never really dealt with KKK. They dealt with civil war, which is an issue, and Arab supremacy and this kind of stuff. But they haven't really dealt with KKK. And so, that one, I guess what we're hearing is would African Americans run around with KKK as a joke? Considering the death tied to it. This is what we're trying to highlight, like not respecting each other's traumas. I think someone said that either this lady or maybe one of the other lady who was dancing on him might be from Haiti. I'm not too sure.
What the did I just get?
Haiti has a very proud history, very important history of Haiti.
Myself into. So yeah, I apologize for I apologize for my actions. I apologize for sitting at a table with someone knowingly knowing who made the whole show up. Myron and the black guy, Fresh. I owe my community an apology for being stupid. Pretty much. I know people would never make these mistakes. Why did you beg him to say? I asked. Okay, so like I said, I don't know Nick's background, so
I think one other thing that made people not best pleased was they asked him to shout the N-word for some reason. They wanted him to say it. Not too sure why. Haven't looked at the whole streaming, but this was one of the problems.
I didn't expect him to say nigger. I should have. Like, honestly, I was like, dang. And when he said it, I said puss ass cracker. Like, that's the first thing that came out of my mouth. Like, puss ass crack. Like, the first thing that came out of my initial reaction was to turn up. And then I was like, oh no. Did you lie? Like, you can't. I chose the wrong time to be a lady.
Yeah, you thought they're both. Yeah, so one's a Sudanese. He probably doesn't identify as black, to be honest. Like Sudan, we should cover Sudan because Sudan is split into two countries. Sudan has Afro-Nubian, Afro. I think like Afro-Sudanese, Nubians, a few other descriptions, but generally, Sudanese people are perceived or seen as black when they come to European countries. Obviously, in their own country, not really, because everyone is. I mean, I think Sudan even means land of the blacks. I think that's what it actually means. I think Sudan actually means land of the black or land of the black face, something like this. But anyway, when the gentleman goes to African America or America, I don't think he identifies with black people. And the other guy is from Jamaica, or not Jamaica, sorry, the Caribbean. Yeah, but they're both seen as black people, and they're identified as black people. And more importantly, the white supremacy goes on the show definitely sees them both as black people.
I chose the wrong time I should have turned up on that mug. I should have went out, because that was my allergic reaction, was because I called him a pussy ass cracker. And was like, what? I thought we was I thought we were better than that. And why would
you say Myron sees himself as American? Which was Myron? Is that the one from the cat? Because they got stage names, isn't it? Is that the one from the Caribbean? Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. It's the they have Eurasian nation Sudan. They have the variations of nations in Sudan. Yeah, there's two. So there's South Sudan, which is recently made, and then there's Sudan. And Sudan historically would have been seen as Kush and connected to Kemet and was heavily influenced by and influenced Kemet. This is historical terms now. When we say Nubian people, essentially, they would have been coming from that kind of area. I don't think he would care about all that kind of stuff, really. There's images of the gentleman like really socializing with, kind of college white boy culture, playing pranks on each other and sleeping in the same bed as other European men. That kind of college. So I don't know if he necessarily grew up around black people, because not too many black people in the States do that kind of stuff. Oh, Myron is a Sudanese person. Go yeah, okay, there you go. That's the way, because I don't think that's his true name. I think he might have changed it. That's another thing. You come from a different name background and you want to change it. That shows you the pressure that might be on you when you go into a new country. It's not like, and that's another thing about respecting each other's traumas and history, because obviously, unfortunately, African Americans would have had to change the name towards the enslavers' name, and obviously that way blendability might be easier for them from a name standpoint, because their name sounds similar to Europeans to an extent here and there. But obviously, people coming from Africa, whichever part, still have, for the most part, have their African family names. And I know for a lot of these Arabic kind of countries, since 9/11, there's been uneasiness with the Arabic kind of sounding names. So I suspect that he might have changed for that, but who knows? Who knows? Let's carry on listening. There you go. Let's which Caribbean country? I don't think it's Trinidad. I thought it was Barbados, but it might be Trinidad after research.
Why would I think that? Because...
And that apology sounds all well and good, but of course, we have video evidence of her encouraging the white supremacists to say the N-word. Now, what I would like Dima to do for me here is, Dima, put up the photo of her with the fist in the air on one side, and let's play the video of her with the arrow next to her encouraging the white supremacists to say the N-word. Let's play that clip.
Hey, what you got?
You want me to say it?
Yes.
Is anyone going to hit me if I say it?
No. Let's go. 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm not touching him. I'm not touching him.
Come on, Nick. What you got?
All right.
Interesting. Maybe we might play a bit of video in a bit. I don't know, because in amongst the 5 women, there's African American lady. She's the light skinned one to the left, and she was the one doing most of the talking. And she seems to understand more about the history, and she was the one who didn't really play along with anything that was going on, and she wasn't best pleased. But and good for her. But the further case study was she was talking about racist prejudice and history, and she was mentioning black and brown, that kind of talking point. And then she said she's married or she's dating a Jewish man. So obviously, I suspect it wasn't a black Jewish man at all. But obviously, the white supremacist who was there doesn't believe in the Holocaust, this kind of stuff, and this was triggering her and this kind of thing. But that's a good thing for us to watch a bit. But I don't know if we're going to do it. Who knows? That's right. The producers show another black brother, I believe. So it's technically 3 black guys who run that podcast, and but once again, it's true clout chasing behaviors potentially. They might be the #1 show in their kind of area. They call it Manosphere, Red Pill, this kind of thing. It's interesting because they've openly said they don't like black women. They don't find black women attractive, and they don't find them physically attractive, and they don't find black women tolerable. So, but once again, people jump on these shows, they don't really research it. But we are trying to tell black women and black men that if a person has disdain for you, don't go on their show. And this includes anti-black racists, as in self-hating black people, foreign black people, as well as white supremacists. It isn't in your best interest to go on their shows, but this is a learning process. Wait, who's dating a Jewish man? So no, not that. No. So if you look at the screen at the moment, there's the lady to the far left. I'll play the video in a bit. She's kind of light skin, got light, kind of longish hair. She's the one who does most of the talking, but you won't see in this video. She's quite articulate and she knows her history. But okay, I don't want to do no spoilers. But what I was kind of best pleased with, not that it's a surprise, was I wasn't best pleased with obviously what the behaviors of all the black women on the show, but the one who was actually most constructive and well spoken was this lady to the left. But when it came to the question where Nick Fuentes, the racist guy, wanted to talk about his belief in not mixing the races and miscegenation and race mixing, I think he calls it. Obviously, only one of the women was really pro or in a relationship with a non-black person, while the rest of them were adamant that no. I want to have a black family, a black unit, and they all understood a certain criteria. It's almost like they were on code in that one. So it's interesting. I don't want to give any more spoilers, whatever, but that was something that happened. But let me carry on listening and playing. So.
Two hours.
And I joke that it is black and white. They can't tell who's who, to be honest. We'll play the bigger video after this. It's almost done. We'll play a bit of it just so you can see who's who, because they've all got their own personality.
No. Come on, Nick. What you got?
All right.
And I wanted you guys to see that because, yes, that's the same person. On one end, that person is being pro-black. On another end, she's encouraging the white racist to disrespect her ancestors that she just said that she was pretty much trying to salute. But black men, once I put up that video, black men had to get their get back. And they went over to Instagram, and then they had this to say. Let's look at
I'll skip all the comments. It's just text and, did they don't approve, they don't approve. You can pretty much work out. Let's see. Let's get to the end.
You have a lot of people like her. They show up to the marches. They dress the part. They do this. They do that. But in my honest opinion, these are the people who are the real phony pro-blacks, the lukewarm pro-blacks in the world. And they give pro-blacks a very bad name. And of course, I don't want anybody to, consider that, all people in the pro-black community or Pan-African community are fake, because that's definitely not true. But these are the people who toe the line, right? And they want to look like they're black. They dress any kind of way. But you see, to dress like this is easy. To put Instagram posts is easy. But to do the real work that was going to empower your community, it's something that you got to do every day. And you can't fake it. And again, getting around a whole bunch of people who hate black people and a whole bunch of people who hate black men. And, you get around these white guys, because really it's a lot of people that talk that, fake liberal pro-black stuff and be in the bed with white people all the time. And that's exactly what we got, especially in the Democratic Party. We need to separate.
So I've just put the other video in. So what we're going to do, we won't play all of it because I've got a 20-minute video we're not going to watch. We're just going to get to see the dynamic of this, the racist individual on this Manosphere Black podcast and the mindset of the black women.
Because we've been talking about race mixing.
Okay.
That's sort of been.
That's the first time that word has been said.
No, well, on the show before you guys got here.
Okay. And indirectly also, yeah. So I thought I'd ask the panel, and this is really prompted by Myron, because, I respect everybody's opinions on this, but what does the panel think about race mixing? You all have black boyfriends, except for the Jewish boyfriend. Why don't we start with you? What do you think about race mixing? Do you think about this?
So for those, that's the articulate lady who is with a Jewish individual.
That's a fair question.
So I actually don't necessarily call it race mixing. I call it interracial dating. After that, I don't know the exact time frame, but I believe in the 1950s, that's when interracial marriage was legalized. Please, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I can't put a correct date to it. But I don't think it's inherently bad. I don't think it's inherently something we should strive for. If it happens, it happens. I know there are certain people who their dating That's
an interesting response, because normally when people talk about biracial dating or miscegenation or whatever the technical word is, normally it's usually framed, it's a good thing, people come together, and that's something we try to train against. Like it's, be careful about that. Just kumbaya kind of way of speaking. But she seems to be quite learned, and she says, "Well, I don't see it as a good thing or a bad thing. It's just something that happens, whatever." I think I don't want to quote her wrong. It's interesting. Did I read it?
Preferences are anti one specific race. I do not agree with that. But if someone comes from like a very Asian family and they're like, listen, for cultural reasons, for like getting along reasons, for integration reasons, it's going to be in my best interest to date another Asian person, I really do get that. But if someone is like, an Asian person who says, I'll date anyone besides Hispanics, that's, it's a little sticky.
I see. Why don't we just go around the panel? Can I say my position first?
Yes,
Is that
go.
all right?
Yes, I
okay,
can't wait to hear
I know.
yours.
Yeah, you guys are probably curious. So me, So here's my position. Okay, it's a little. Okay, you're going to be surprised about this, I think.
Me?
Yeah. So I've actually said on my show a lot. It's a little controversial in my community, but I'm actually attracted to women of all groups, of all races.
Okay.
How is
Okay.
that controversial?
See, I'm 21st century. Well, here's the controversy. But I would never date someone from outside my race.
I agree.
Okay.
But here's why. So I'm Catholic. You know, my body count 0. I want to have sex with my wife, just my wife. And I only want to have sex to have kids. And I want kids that are from the same group as me. I want white kids. So naturally, it follows if I want to have a wife and I want to have white kids, then I shouldn't date someone outside my race because I'm not going to marry them.
Correct.
So when he said that, I think the black woman next to him jumped, and I think we're also maybe a lot of people today and age are shocked to hear about either preferences or not exclusive, what are they called, requirements, I guess. Yeah, and that's one thing as a community. Yeah, he's a Catholic. He hasn't had intimate relationships before, so I can rate him on one area in this sense that he has something he believes in and he practices it. That's his thing. What I would say is one thing I think we could benefit from the community is training how to communicate about the importance of Black love and Black families without it causing anxiety, without it going down the wrong path. And the thing is, all these women, they agree to an extent, but it's just they're not used to hearing someone else say that, I guess. But let's carry on listening for a bit, and then we'll stop.
That's my position.
Yeah.
But we'll go around. What do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts on it in general? What about you? So you're I'm sorry. Someone had a
I was gonna say, if that's the way you think, Baby Blue, then keep that in your vicinity, because
But he has the right to not.
I agree. I agree. Because dating outside my race makes me feel weird.
This is the woman who kissed him on the cheek. So this is why I wasn't too not that I'm ever really looking at there's always a bigger context for it, but all the Black women here are very pro Black family, and the one who was really pushing back against the gentleman isn't pro Black family. She's with a Jewish man, so it's one of those interesting kind of twists of the tales, really.
I've done it just to make sure that
What was his race?
he a Nicaragua. He still had color. You feel me? He was Hispanic. But at the same time, he still wasn't a Black man. You get what I'm saying? So I agree with you.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like, love y'all, but I ain't gonna date you, baby. You get what I'm saying? And I get that. Because I want Black babies. So if I want Black babies and I want the Black race to continue, I'm going to, lay down.
It's like he's trying to push his.
Very interesting, because that's there's not too many Black men on these kind of panels who say the same thing. Black men are, from what I see on these kind of panels, are very different. For example, the 3 men who run the show are Black men, and they would not date a Black woman at all. Fair enough. I don't know where this third one's from, but so this is something that. Well, we were doing our case studies about the collective behaviors of Black women versus the collective behaviors of Black men. Even though these Black women are not behaving, they're acting an error-prone behavior by being on the show and indulging this kind of individual and this kind of stuff. But still, they have a codified way of understanding the importance of Black family. That's very important. That's something that's very hard to train or teach.
His racial agenda, we're doing the same by not.
Yeah. I mean,
Because it was cute how his message had a racial undertone and yours didn't.
No,
You guys said the exact same thing.
The only reason why mine didn't have a racial undertone is because I'm Black and he's white, and people like
No, not necessarily, because you called it interracial dating and he called it race mixing.
Yeah.
That is just.
Oh no, I was talking about his example. Like, he is a white guy who wants to date white women to have like white cultural standards, where my example was an Asian person dating an Asian person to have Asian cultural standards. It's the same exact thing, besides white and Asian, obviously, but coming from a Black woman.
I think one of the training that I recommend we put down, and obviously I'm writing down to make it work, is she just said the cultural standards and cultural, and I think the culture of fixing Black society is something that I recommend we say, as in when you start from an actual something you're trying to achieve, that will minimize any pushback. So you promote Black love or marrying a Black person because you want to practice Black betterment, or you want to fix the community, and you know that it's hard. It's going to be hard to do that if you're not actually, around black people or married to a black person. So that's somewhere we can codify that. The importance of black families when it comes to as it pertains to trying to reverse this historical challenge of colonization, white supremacy, black inadequacy, all those terrible things.
And I feel like, especially in the society where very democratic, very libertarian people are like supposed to be quote unquote the correct people, they would like accept me saying it before him just because it's me.
But again, it's about the undertone and how you guys said it. Like I said,
now, guys, I've put the link at the top of the forum. If you wish to jump in and give your opinion, feel free to do so. You can. We're listening to Fresh and Fit show where I ask the question: Do black people from different countries respect each other's historical traumas, or trauma, I should say? We're observing. Obviously, the show itself is run by people who are not from the African American historical community, and I think many of the women might not be as well. As far as I'm aware, at least the ones who are talking, or at least one of them, for more so. So we're analyzing that, but also we're also using as a case study just to see if any talking points come up that we can jump onto and say yay, nay, or hooray, or whatever. But yeah, so we'll listen to a bit more. But if you wish to jump in, let us go. We've got one other topic afterwards, which is: does the modern media promote ideas to separate black women from black men? So let's carry on listening, and then we'll say what we have.
You have the exact same message, but you called it race mixing.
That's the same thing. Interracial race mixing.
It was just the verbiage.
One at a time, ladies. One at a time, so they can actually hear you. Somebody had something over here.
I just feel like it was the same message, but different verbiage.
Yeah, and that's what makes it different. Like I'm okay. Like before we got on air, we were talking because somebody on my Instagram live asked me to ask him would he date a black girl, and he said it with a smile. No,
Right.
That's another thing I noticed. I see that mainly more so from black women. When they're talking to, I've seen it quite a bit, to be honest. I guess because you get more racist white men who are in the public speaking, I'm assuming. But that question of would you date a black woman? I don't think that even needs to come up, really. I don't think. I think, a certain level of self-respect in the sense of self-determination is very important. And what's one of the most powerful things you can do when you're generally hated by everyone is have love for yourself and have no expectations of someone else loving you apart from your own community. If you can work on that on a circular way, then I think I think from the optic standpoint, it's better. So I don't think it's necessary to ask a racist person, "Would you date me?" That's probably not the best thing to do. But if you disagree, let me know.
And I said, okay, I don't care because I wouldn't date a white man.
That's fine.
That's right.
I would say that I won't date a white man. I won't date a white woman. That's all fine and good. But I think having a context of why you're saying something is important because through commercial marketing of historical terms, people demonize preferences of your own kind of persuasion. So I would definitely say, and also to educate those who are, in Kumbaya land and stuff, let people know that that in order to help black people, you have to produce black people, and you understand that black families and are collective groups, and it's also economics, and your wife and husband's your first business partner, and they're going to inherit everything you're doing, and we're going to collate all the people to come to support whatever you're doing, and we're going to try to build up each one, teach one, all that good stuff, and it makes it easier when you're picking someone from your own collective group. We are joined by Empress Kush. Welcome, Empress Kush, to the Betterment Broadcast. Betterment.
Betterment bro, Betterment's family in the chat.
Excellent. So, as you know, we're going to press play. If you want to pause it, just say it. We probably won't listen to all of this. 20 minutes, and we've listened to like 5 at the moment. So we want to listen for a bit, and then we'll jump to the next topic unless you want to carry on. So let's press play.
And then you call me racist.
Well, I said that as a joke, though. I said that laughingly, in a friendly way. Well, but here's the thing. We are saying a different thing because you're saying culture, but I'm saying race.
Exactly.
And I think that, but here's the thing. I feel like if a white person talks about their race and the way that black people talk about theirs, they get called racist. But you said you want to have black babies because you want the black race to continue. That's why I want to have white kids, because I want the white race to continue.
Well, it's racist because of historical and because of systemic racism that runs in white culture.
So, but what's racist about me wanting to have white kids?
Nothing is racist about you, particularly because you're 24 years old. However, coming from a white, not white, an Anglo background, and you know our country was built on the backs of slaves and or taking people's land and or acting like it's ours. It's always going to be there. So yeah, and the fact that white proud guys go, we're the superior race, so you can't act like that doesn't happen either. So just because you're sitting here going, oh, well, I'm different, I like y'all, I'm just not gonna date y'all.
But both people didn't mention anything about superior. Even I did not mention anything about.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just talking about culturally and historically. That's what I'm saying.
She's
I'm not saying nobody said that.
Oh, so like societally now the air is different because
systemic racism is real.
His ancestors might have had like totally bad intentions.
They did.
I don't even think it's too far removed from him.
No, my ancestors have bad intentions.
In the sense,
I mean, you're a white man. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, but you don't. But you're making assumptions. I mean, what background am I? Do you know?
Right.
You said Italian beforehand.
He's Italian.
Yeah. So
I mean, the Italians supported Hitler, didn't they?
Well, not the Italians that came to America, but also I support Hitler, so it's really beside the point.
That's a
but look, so you don't really understand.
So yeah, he says he supports Hitler. Obviously, the lady to the left, the black lady, she's dating a Jewish person. Obviously, everyone's laughing. That's the kind of nature of the show.
Okay.
We are really good time now.
Yeah, but, I kind of disagree with you on this one though, bro, because I'm trying to figure out where you and O'Shea are coming from, but I just feel like especially with O'Shea, I just think it's an excuse to just bash on this particular black woman. Like even the one that you said that was articulate, she's literally trying to like justify what the white man just said. And the black woman had to reiterate, probably coming from their background, they probably were racist.
Oh yeah, so let me.
And then even when just so I can finish off, even when he just said that he loves Hitler, it was the black men laughing the hardest on there. They couldn't restrain themselves.
Yeah. So
O'Shea's doing a whole post, not even about Fresh and Fit, but about this one individual who's on there when there's loads of other people. How many men are on there? And it's and then when you look at his thing, I know you skimmed through it, but I don't have to, I saw some bits of it. And when you look at the comments that he's highlighting us on his own post, Mr. Pro-Black, about this one woman as you single her out, I think it's just, do you know what I mean?
A good point.
I don't.
No, I hear you. I think one thing we have to really expand is the brother. So what she's talking about is the video we're doing is a pro-man kind of agenda in the sense of O'Shea Jackson. He identifies as pro-black, but he comes from the black manosphere. So that many people think that's a kind of like a contradiction in terms, especially depends how you deliver it. But I think because he's pro-man, he's approaching this from a man standpoint. It's only because he's videos.
Yeah, but that's even a contradiction. You can't be pro-black and then be talking about your pro-man.
Yeah,
that's the most Western concept I've ever heard. You have a pro-black family, pro-man. What does that really mean? It's go your own way. If you're not going towards women, what are we encourage people to go to? What does pro-man mean? What are we doing? And this is a so-called quote unquote, and this is what I'm saying about what we were talking about last week. This is another example of people that just get put on as speakers for our community. O'Shea has done some ratchet, disrespectful things for black women. I saw a video that's been going around for ages of him in Africa holding up a young black African woman and just making a pose in the camera while he's answering questions from black men in America who's just literally dissing her and acting like she's a sexual toy. Again, red flag. Do you know what I mean? And then you're pro-man. I mean,
I think that any person who's coming from the kind of manosphere or pink pill, we understand that already their philosophies won't correlate. Now, I can't speak for the gentleman because he might have a different way of interpreting it. We're merely observing his content because it highlights one faction. But one thing to highlight about him, I know he doesn't agree with. I think they're at odds because the people of this show and his show are at odds, and there's many civil wars going amongst the black men in the manosphere. I would say all of them are at civil war. And this is so if we really want to unpack it, the idea of the manosphere is black manosphere, sorry, for those that know, they come together to work on each other and prepare themselves to be good men for women and pick the right women. This was like the original.
Miserably, didn't it?
Very. But what's happened now is there's civil wars amongst the black
no.
women. Yeah, white women are in charge.
Oh.
Women are loving, promoting white supremacy, this kind of thing. And obviously, black women are now exiled from black men and this kind of thing. The thing is, yeah, we've unpacked this kind of stuff before, but what I want to highlight with this video is, despite because we're covering a current trend of what's circulated on the internet. But what I was best pleased with these women, and that's what my thing was they're pro-black family, you see, and regardless of what's going on here in this particular broadcast, they all are, except the most articulate one, quote unquote, who is in a biracial, mixed relationship, what it might be, right, with a Jewish man. And
but I will stress that point again. Like, that's why I say we should be really strong in our titles, and because I wouldn't say that they're necessary. That what we know the facts that black women are the least ones to date out, right? But that doesn't mean that those women are pro-black.
No, I don't think.
And I think that is just one of the blessings or virtues or things that we need to appreciate about black women. Black women just instinctively want their own, just like any other race. It's the black men that has the anomaly of this.
It has been, well, you could say has been conditioned to look outside for whatever it is, right? And
I mean, you can say that, but we all watch the same TV. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Like, we've all been through the quote unquote conditioning. Yet the stats say that one group's doing it more. Do you know what I mean?
What historically we always know that black men date out
exactly
from the man's side more than anyone, right? And my personal focus is to correct that, right? To highlight that. I think I can always give credit and kudos to black women for not, but I think with black women,
they don't have to be, basically what I'm saying, you don't have to, like, just because you don't have to be pro-black for a black woman to necessarily predominantly want her own. That's just a given.
Yeah, it's a default. You don't have to have any pro-black philosophy.
Exactly, it's just natural, just like other races.
I think black men and black women are conquered in different ways, and I think black men are conquered in a way where there's a subservience there to not want to build, to not want to
build in general, are you saying, or just
in general, like there is acceptance that you can work for others, not want to build dedicated things for yourself, and also more relaxed on concepts of like not being with your own group. Now, when you talk about nation building stuff, you understand why that's impossible and why you need to, and especially if you talk about economics. The gentleman who's a white supremacist, he understands this, so he might be an extremist, but he understands these concepts, right? And what will happen is he'll be very firm in his beliefs, while everyone else will be wishy-washy, and they'll be more insulted because many black people have accepted this concept of like everyone is one, and we're gonna get to the end of the road together, holding hands.
But even when you watch it, the black women are not offended by that because that's just how they feel. And obviously the black men on there are just not talking because the only time that they speak up is towards black women to abuse them. Do you know what I mean? They're just cowering towards the white man on their own panel. You'd have thought it's his show.
I mean, you're going to see, look, at the end of the day, the Nick Fuentes gentleman, he was very comfortable on the Pearly Thing show, which is a white show catered to black men. And this is a black show catered, well, I would say black show, but the black men run it, catered towards, black men and man. It's actually manosphere now. It's the biggest manosphere, right? Nothing about what's going on here is pro-black or B1
at all.
Right? This is case study of what we can learn and how we can try to add campaigns to sway from it. But yeah, for me, I never approached this with any kind of real angerment towards black women. I was actually impressed that I was shocked that that they are pro-black on camera and stuff.
But that's what I'm saying. Why are we saying that they're pro-black? because
Well,
they're black women.
you're right. Bad term.
This is what I mean. Like
I am using
when
the wrong
we
term.
use the right
Black
terms, we might
families,
not have
black
that
families.
shock. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? If they're just ordinary women who just have a default wanting their men,
But
then
I don't know how long
breaks.
that's gonna last though. That's the thing. I know. I'm thinking the way without proper branding, without proper campaigns, that will soon change. So see the lady who's speaking on the left, who's with the Jewish man. You're
Yeah.
going to get more. What you are finding in a smaller number but growing number is obviously the intersectional black woman, right? Where they've gone to college with the European feminists.
Because it's in black and white, I can't tell. So you're sure that this one that's with a Jewish person's got two black parents, yeah?
So, yeah, well, no, I couldn't say they got two black parents.
Because obviously that's probably going to have an influence.
That's definitely going to have
do you know what I mean? This is the problem. So, and it's just, do you know what I mean? I just think
here's the thing.
Because we oversimplify things, add it all into a group, and now she's a part of a black woman. Now, if we look into it, she might not be. And do you know what I mean? And all the fire is directed to the person we cannot mistake is a black woman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
this is the. Do you see? Do you understand how
what you're saying is correct? But
this is the frustration for people because no one's.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
okay. I'm just saying, like, so as a black woman to see all of this, I don't think any of this gets really pointed out, and then it's just all of the flack that comes out for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, O'Shea should know better, really.
To be honest with you, I don't.
Well, I mean, for what he promotes, he's for. Like, because you remember at the beginning of the video, he said
we would be wrong from us where we're coming from to expect people, regardless of what they claim, to be as concentrated as we are. Do you understand? And
well, that's my whole point coming up here, isn't it? That's what I was saying. You know what I mean? Because even to put her as pro-black, we know nothing about her.
Yeah. And I think, he's got his clickbait kind of stuff going on. But to answer the question,
clickbait,
there's two things going on. One, the lady who's with a Jewish person who might be biracial or whatever, she identifies as a black woman as she identified in this show, and the concept of this show from the three gentlemen who prepared it was to get 5 black women on for clickbait purposes to talk to a person who hates black people, what it is. So that's the
just one more question. Has he said that he hates black people, or has he just openly said that he just prefers to be with his own race? Because people say that to black people, innit? If one person says that they want to date a black person, now they hate whites and everything else. So does he hate black people? Or
so I'm using the term hate, but I think what's happening now
is he just what he said he was, that he just wants to be with his own race and date his own race?
That's definitely true, but what it is he is an intellectualized of all the philosophies of white supremacy. So if we carry on playing, he goes on to say that black people are generically unintelligent.
Wow, on this panel,
yeah, of course. But this isn't. If you look up when Francis Cress Wilson was debating, I forgot the gentleman's name. But it's that kind of what's that thing called? Eugenics and the science of cranium, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? The thing is,
what the Darwin theory?
Yeah, as it pertains to black people. But so what it is, but many, if not all, white supremacists believe this, and many who don't, who might not identify as a white supremacist believe this. So by acknowledging this and rejecting all the evidence against this. People will interpret that as a form of hatred towards black people because it's the evidence has been disputed, right? But it's still promoted. And what you have like smiley face promotion, where it's like you're casually saying very destructive things that has been disproven time and time again. So that's where the hate comes from. That's where you might not come out and say I hate you, black people, but by having these collection of beliefs. Then it's like, okay, this actually, if you add up, this can be quantified as a form of hate. You know, I debate many people like this in Speaker's Corner where they'll talk to you and they won't come out and say, I think you're a monkey or this kind of stuff. But what they'll say is, I basically want to give you money to leave the country. I don't believe you're ever going to be intelligent. And then what happens is, if you listen to Neely Fuller and Francis Wilson, how you get around this by going, okay, if you think that black people are genetically and biologically lesser, right? What is to be done about it? And then that's when you start hearing the stuff like, well, I think that maybe limited births in certain areas. Maybe I think that limited them to certain kind of places. And then actually what's happened is they're describing what actually happened to black people many years ago. Like, so it's essentially going back into being subservient. Like when you actually ask them, like if black people were not to get very flustered and I can't believe he doesn't want to marry a black woman, or I can't believe he used the N-word, right? If it's just like, okay, you think black people are this, what is to be done about it? When you ask that question, that's when you start getting somewhere, and that's when they actually want to repeat what's happened historically. So yeah, that's what I find when I debate many white supremacist people. I suppose this gender is no different. But yeah, Sister Kush is correct in the sense of the framing. So we have the dark-skinned black girl who's identified as pro-black in her pictures, and that seems to be the nature of where the target is. Me personally, I'm not necessarily targeting her. It's more so a case study of all of them. And my biggest shock, obviously, I can't say I'm shocked, but the kissing was the issue, I think. And then there's another lady who did some kind of dance move on him, some kind of twerking dance move, and then obviously there's a Jewish woman who's very well spoken in what she's trying to say, but ultimately she she's with a Jewish man. Yeah, let's so we I'm trying to think of what's the time, but Empress Kush did highlight the kind of we are watching a show. Well, this is actually the show live, but the show before was from a kind of ex-Black Manosphere perspective, and there's also going to be caution about that. And also, if we look at another show quickly now, for example, I'll show you this. Hold on. Where's the other one? I had this one. If you look at the frame of this other show, let's see if I can find it. Hold on. Well, it's only 2 minutes.
Because we've been talking about race mix.
Yesterday.
That one. Is it this one? No, that one.
Kissing him on the cheek.
It's this one. So this is a black guy who's for some reason I think he's from the nation, but he might not be. I could be really wrong. I could be very wrong.
The known racist, white nationalist, individual who believes in regressive policy.
So to co-sign what Sister Kush said, the framing of the last one was about the black woman, and that's what's circling around, like shame on the black woman for doing that. But this is like from more of an adult standpoint, and this person, I think he's probably more connected to conscious. He then frames it back on the power structure that lets it happen. So let's play for a bit. It's only 1 minute or so. Let's play.
Sees to stop the progress of black people. Nick Fuentes. Well, they went on a podcast, and this is what happened.
Well, you can say it.
Say it. Come on, man. I want you to say it.
For real.
Yeah.
What you got?
You want me to say it?
Yes.
Is anyone going to hit me if I say it?
No. 2 hours. Come on, Nick. What you got?
All right.
Yeah. So So when that happened, the woman with the Jewish husband was shaking it. Everyone else was in hysterics, and obviously the black gentlemen were all laughing and taking pictures and this kind of stuff. But that's important that the reaction, because the woman who's with the Jewish man, who's seems to be quite versed in historical stuff, and equality, is kind of, as she was trying to say, was shaking her head. Yeah, the other women were probably there. They turned up, and they were shocked. So being shocked shows that they weren't prepared for that kind of stuff. And then obviously the men on the show were just clickbait, laughs and shout, and not really serious to be taken.
Wanted a known racist to say the N-word in front of everybody. They decided to encourage him to do so, made it a game, a joke, something playful. I understand the inclination to platform someone who has opposing views. I do that here myself. But I do it in order to provide challenge.
So as you can see, this gentleman here, he's taking more so from the people who provided the actual show and set it up, not the black women reacting to it, you see? And that's what he's
challenge to the negative, hurtful.
Despite what he's saying, and I agree, I still there is more of the story is, once you know someone is anti-black and believes black people are inferior and all this kind of stuff like that, you shouldn't be dancing and kissing them or asking them to say the N-word.
And antithetical commentary and positions they hold. You see, policies kill people. Bad policies kill people. He supports bad policies. Individuals make laws based upon his white supremacist organization. And these laws have a detrimental impact on communities around this nation.
This is why we're saying that the collection of the gentleman's views is dangerous, because obviously these collection of gentlemen's views, when they get into power, they push laws because of how they view things, and this is what the gentleman's trying to say.
It is no laughing matter whatsoever. And I would say this to the two gentlemen who founded the podcast, and let's put them up full mass. A lot of people appreciate it.
On the show, the one on the left is from Sudan, the one on the right is from either Trinidad or Barbados. Is it Trinidad?
Enjoy the podcast. I think some of the content is actually noteworthy. However, in this moment or in that moment, I think that was a historical mistake. I want to say this to you, gentlemen, Mr. Walter Weeks and Myron.
So anyway, the moral of the story is this particular podcast is framed towards the men who set it up. Well, that last one was towards the women who kissed and danced on the mouth, and this kind of stuff. So what we can do, let me quickly flip back to the main. How do you do that? Stop sharing maybe? No, it's not that one. It's that one. So I think I just click. If that's on, I'll turn it off, right? Turn that off, and then turn that one on. Oh, it should be on already, right? Oh, okay. Magic. Yes. So, Sister Empress, anything you want to? I mean, we can come back to it, because I think the second topic won't be as long. Or it might be, to be honest, because it correlates. It might correlate with certain concepts. But anything you'd like to add to?
No.
No. I think well done on the cross analysis as well as the highlighting, and it's something that Sister Kush brought up was terms when we describe people as pro-black. That means something, and also a person's lineage as well as how they identify, which kind of correlates with what we're saying. Do black people from different countries respect each other's historical trauma? That still correlates with that kind of idea.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Anyone wants to jump in as well to add your analysis?
Let me repost a link in the chat. Sorry, my bad. Slipping to that. I said, let me post a link in the chat. I was just saying, my bad. I was slipping a bit tonight.
Yeah, no, you're still doing good. So anyone who wants to join, the link is posted there at the top. Tell your friend, we're live. So you get a chance to sway the direction of the show when you're live.
Yeah, come true. Link has been posted now, and please don't forget to just hit the like button. It's free.
Yeah. There you go. Hit the like button. It makes the algorithms do something. So the second topic, and we can come back to this very soon afterwards, is does the modern media promote the ideas to separate black women from black men? Where this comes from is I'm not too familiar with the two. I think one might be a singer actress, but there's a lady called Kiki.
Oh, you got
that's Kiki, right? That's
Kiki Palmer.
Yes, yeah, and she was very successful in some kind of media. Music or acting.
She was a child actress. She's been in like some great movies with Forrest Whitaker. I think Denzel. She was a little prodigy.
I'm sure when I see her, I remember her.
She's like Honeybee, like really like what we would class as positive movie. There was like a Spelling Bee movie. I don't know if it was based on a true movie. I think that was one who had Forrest Whitaker. And you might know that one. It was really big back in the day, and it's basically how this child could just do these spellings of these great words, and you know like what they're all doing now on the internet, getting the etymology and all of that rubbish. And she was doing that for a long time. They were doing that in the movie, but she's been in loads of kind of like mainstream and some conscious movies as well, so she's definitely loved within the culture. I think mainly as well is because people saw her grow up. Like the Spelling Bee one, she was a child, and I think she was like in child Disney, and that was at a time where we didn't really have as many as like we have now, so I think just to put that on Kiki's name there.
I'm looking at pictures of her younger. I'm trying to think if I might not have had some of these channels. I'm just trying to think.
Did you have Nickelodeon? I think that's what we had back in the days, Nickelodeon. But remember in America they had like, what is it, the Disney Kids, like where Britney Spears, Timberlake, they had this club, didn't they, of kids. And so what we got trafficked was, what did we only have? We had like Trouble and one other show, I forgot what it was. I just said it now, but Nickelodeon, right? So we'd get funneled like Sister and like literally have that on repeat. Do you know what I mean? We only had like 3 black shows, but around that time in America, she was she was in a lot of different shows which would have been seen. And over here, we would have seen them perhaps if people take their memory back to older movies, they might have recognized her. If that makes sense.
So I'm just clicking on her. She's 29 years old, started in 2002. I was looking at her list now. She's got Barbershop.
There you go.
She's been in Medina's family reunion, so Medina. Ice Age, so she's done voices and that kind of stuff. I love Ice Age stuff. Cool. All right.
She's done stuff before then because, like I said, she was a child.
Yeah, television. Yeah, so that was film. So television, she's done the ER, the Strong Medicine.
Yeah, she's got an impressive. When you look at her history, it's impressive for an actor in general. Do you know what I mean? Male, female, white, black. Like, she has been in the game for a long time.
I thought she was older though. I thought because
did I.
The way they talk about like she's been around forever, but she's 29 years old.
But I think it's because she started so young.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
like 10. So, like Michael Jackson.
I remember we used to get things hit with us with repeats. Do you remember? Like anything fresh would have to take 3 or 4 years for us to get anything. So she was probably a kid to us a lot longer than she was actually a kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true. So what we're saying is was this something I noticed? So basically, for those who don't know, I'll see if I can give it back. She went to there's a singer called Usher, a famous singer, and she was dressed in a way where it was very provocative, a stylish, a fashionable, I don't know, a contemporary, I don't know what the word would be. But anyway, she's married to a gentleman, and he I think because of how she was dressed and how she was, I guess, hugging to the performer Usher at the show that went on the social media. I think the husband, who wasn't best pleased with it, and he tried to say, he said some kind of comment on the internet, and then there was this whole kind of like civil war of policing your wife, or wife being respectful in public, or mothers of children not behaving the way, or if you're married, don't go on stage. All this kind of stuff was flowing around. But my area of interest wasn't necessarily that. It was more so what the media promotes directed to Black women. And as in, like, one of the things we're trying to say is how do Black men and Black women communicate to maintain, sustain relationships, especially when you've got kids involved and mortgages and millions and all that kind of stuff, right? But the narrative seems very dim. So I took a TMZ video. Let me see if I can unpack it. Hold on. Where is it? Stop. There we go. That one. Local video. Let's see if I can find this one for you guys. Not that one.
Kissing him on
that one. It's only about 1 minute, so let's listen to it, and then I'll see if I can unpack it from what I got from it. Go live, full screen.
It's official. Mom jeans are out and Mom's skin-tight see-through dresses are in! Because Keke Palmer's proud of this smoking hot look, even after her baby daddy's stern reminder.
You a mom.
We're guessing she's aware. But the attempted shaming started when Keke's boyfriend Darius
tweeted out a video that showed Keke at the Usher concert in Vegas with the caption that said,
"It's the outfit though, you a mom." Damn, Darius!
People started to show their outrage towards him, and he said, "We live in a generation where a man of the family doesn't want a wife and mother to showcase her booty cheeks to please others. He gets told how much of a hater he is."
Well, it is pretty hateful to act like you own a woman and dictate what she wears and when she wears.
You dress for me sexy, not for nobody else, though.
Excellent hypothetical example, we hope. As for Keke, she doubled down and posted more pics after the public scolding.
That a girl. And Usher's in her comments.
Yeah! Wow! Darius, care to comment?
It looks like her baby daddy deleted all the posts due to the backlash.
He was jealous of Usher.
He grinds up on your girl. Guys don't like that.
But he didn't say anything about Usher. He specifically pointed out what she was wearing.
Honestly, the one issue was in my books that he made it public.
Yeah.
I think it's okay that you say, look, I'm a bit jealous of Usher. But to make it so public, it makes it like you're shaming women for what they wear.
Surprisingly well said.
I think Usher should start a reality show. Like, the true test of whether a relationship can survive is going to the Usher concert.
Temptation Usher.
And Keke could host. You good with that, Darius?
Right. So yeah, where's that button? So what I want to unpack there is, I think they use the term shame and some other words, right? And I think that's where you have this kind of conversation going on in the community, or just around the social web, whatever, right? But it's more so how they're framing it, and it is there a value in having expectation or rules in families beforehand of how you want to behave after marriage or after kids, or depending obviously what your background is, or what what I don't know, or what your profession is, I don't know, right? So obviously this gentleman, Kiki, has been said she's the person who's more famous, has the Disney stuff behind her. Don't know who this gentleman is. I'm sure he does something fantastic. I think maybe his brother's a musician or something. I don't know, but don't know what he does. But he said he doesn't want his wife or mother of his child to reveal herself in that kind of way in public, whatever it might be. And then, but the term they used was shaming. So is that correct? Is it wrong? I don't know. That's the there's this narrative that is coming through from, I guess, like the European feminists, right? And many of it makes sense, I guess, in the quest of trying to get equality for women. But there's certain things that might be more of a European war with their men rather than what's going on in the black community. There's many challenges in the black community, but one of the challenges is how do you maintain meaningful relationships with kids and this kind of stuff, and egging on the kind of that back and forth isn't constructive. So what I'm saying is there kind of an agreement that you have when you're married with children about how you conduct yourself in public as a man and a woman, and has that been violated in any way? Not that until you have well, is there a template that we can discuss? I guess like. Well, once again, this is what we're talking. We're talking about. Does the modern media promote ideas to separate black women from black men? And then, and the case that I'm using there is that term of I might as well black now. What did I say? What's that word? Shaming. Yeah, the shaming word. The shaming. This came up before, where when they have the body positivity movement, and then there was the health movement who was saying that there should be a standard of health. So it isn't shaming to say that this is the standard of health someone should be if you're trying to promote healthy lifestyles, whatever. And then the term was used, you're shaming people who are big. And they're saying, we're not trying to shame, but we're concerned about health. I think this might be a similar thing where it's like, I'm not trying to shame you about what you're wearing. I'm saying that when you become a mother and you're married, is there a behavior pattern that should stop? From both ends, I guess. But that's what. Why can't I get this thing back up? Turn it off. Oh, is it? Yeah, it is.
Dominic said it's the lack of respect from her.
So let's read. So she came through with Nick Cannon. It's a lack of respect from her. You wouldn't catch Beyonce doing that nonsense to Jay-Z. Well, yeah. From a standpoint of dancing with someone else outside of a performance, I guess dress-wise.
Okay, let me be devil's advocate. Oh no, let me be the white man's advocate. That's what I heard Reagan say one day. That made me giggle. So I'll tax that to you, bro. But so what is the disrespect? I just want to hear from the brothers. Like, so what did we catch Beyonce doing? What is it that she did there? Is it the dress or what?
You mean Kiki, right? You talking about Kiki?
Yeah.
Kiki, right? Yeah. So from what I'm hearing, from what I've seen, is the dress itself was one thing, as in dressing in a way that reveals the buttocks, I guess, in an indoor event. That's one thing that seems to cause some issue. But I guess it was the hugging and the intimate kind of performance with the famous singer, whilst I guess in that kind of dress. I guess it's a accumulation of all that. I guess while the husband's
all of it. It's a bit of all of it that just.
Yeah, it's a bit of like this is now crossing over into disrespect. So maybe I suspect if she had worn that would have been risque, and he would have been. I'm not best pleased with that, but let me keep quiet. I think what will happen is the fact that she's dressed in a certain alluring way, and then she's then dancing close with this famous singer man.
But I mean, Usher, for the older folks, we know what Usher's music is about, right? I wouldn't say it was grand. It's definitely an ode to the old school R&B kind of set, right? So it's slow music, it's hip moving, it's that kind of thing, right?
Mm.
Most of it, but most of all, the intimate performance of Usher.
Yeah.
Because I think I know that I do understand. I understand both sides, to be honest, on this one. But I just, I don't know. I think if I'm gonna have a grown folk conversation on this, it's just like, again, I just think it's another roll in the eyes moment, because Kiki is a performer. Do you know what I mean? She's in that environment. I've seen pictures of Rihanna with her boobs practically out and her big belly out, pregnant. I've seen all sorts, white to Asian to whatever, on these red carpets with breast nipples, bum cheeks out, and then man holding them next to them, like holding side by side on the red carpet. So this is the way that she dressed. I literally thought I'd see something so scandalous, but when I looked, I think the most scandalous of it is at the back. I think at the front, like, you know, it's kind of like, well, you've shown it, it's like a kind of torso, and then it's got a mesh all the way down to her. It looks quite long, but at the back it's see-through, which is, to me, kind of, I didn't really I wasn't like, it wasn't like a jaw-dropping moment because of the mesh that she kind of rolls with. So I kind of think like the dress sense on Kiki is a bit hypocritical, to be honest with you. Like, when I had a glimpse, because I was listening to someone that I followed talk on the story, and they were going through her history, like even like her Instagram. And if you see the amount of pictures that Kiki puts on, that's probably classed as overdressed. And you can see them all in the comments saying, "That's my baby. I love that. Look at my baby. I'm so proud of that. I'm going to take you home tonight. You better get home quick." Like, he loves it. So again, what is the real issue? So I do think there's some strength to saying that. It's just that I think his ego is bruised, because any other given day he lets her wear less and he's promoting and cheerleading for her. I just think when it comes to Usher, it was just a different ball game. Do you know what I mean? I just think the fact that it's Usher, you know, some people were saying that, you know, she met this guy because she went to an event, I don't know, like a Empire or some sort of premiere event. So she was acting in a role. And one of her co-stars, that's one of her co-stars' brothers. So they were all at an after wrap-up party. She was talking to the guy, and she's like, "Oh, who's that?" And he's like, "Oh, that's my brother." "Oh, that's your brother?" And then that's how they got to know. So he's not really like, he's aware right? Exactly. So you're at this kind of level, and then your missus is there with Usher, you know, for all to see. And I just think that's what I think, if we're being honest, it's like a fundamental, like the pride and the ego, which I'm saying that in the rawest, purest sense, because a man's going to have that. So this is where I see on his side, I can understand that I can have an understanding that his ego or his pride was hurt seeing that. I don't think it's the clothing, because he's happy for her to be like naked any other day. I just think it was Usher, and you can't really compete with Usher. I do think there's a sense of that. And
I wouldn't be surprised.
Exactly. And I think even if people think that he was within the right of that, he should be at home, because they've just had a baby. Like, that's the whole thing. She just got out. It was one of her first girly nights out or whatever. So he should technically have been home and seen her before she left. So, I mean, if you had a problem, you should have raised that before she left to the concert. If you had not had the opportunity to raise it with her before she'd left the concert, you had absolutely no idea what your missus is wearing before she left the baby at the house and gone to the concert. There's always the mobile phone. Yeah, you know I mean, like, he could have handled that. The only reason why this is a big thing is because he decided to post. No one said anything, you know. That's the thing as well. Like, everyone who's had this big scandal, when it was up and she went, no one had an issue. The issue come about when he decided to post, "Wow, you're a mum," or whatever he said. Again, you could have had that conversation by picking up the phone. So I'm just gonna kind of put my grown folks' head on this and just think, okay, your ego is hurt, but you handled it wrong. It's blown out of proportion. Now everyone's got an opinion on your relationship, which we know don't work in these kind of relationships. And you've gotten so much backlash because people are pointing out that you never had an issue before. You should have done it in the DMs, and now you're cancelling your Twitter because you're getting abuse.
Yeah, no, I think what you're saying is right. And I think when it comes to men going on social media to express their pain towards their women, that's also going to be problematic, right? I would say this though. I would say you're right. Within the performance superstar kind of lifestyle, you get degrees, right? So you might get someone like Rick James who won't necessarily care, if his woman was naked or something, right? At all, because of what he presents, right? And his woman could be with other men and women and whatever. I don't think he's something he really seems to care about. But then that's why understanding how what kind of relationship you want to have, but also having a community standard that celebrity knows they're stepping out of is important. So what I'm saying here is, as a man and a woman, what is the expectation from both of you? Now you have to ask other men. Other men, how would you feel if your wife, mother of your child, was dressed in a similar way, hugging a person on a public stage to be viewed? So if the majority of men are not best pleased with this, if that's the case, then you can say that as a template, that's the standard template to not do that. And in order for you to go against that, you have a conversation saying, because I'm Rick James or I'm this kind of person, I'm going to be naked on stage, and that you declare that rather than that
you put that standard out there so no one can say anything. Like you just don't know what it is from the jump.
So what's more important for me here is establishing what is the standard norm for when people get married and have that discussion, right? So it's like, as a man, is it okay for your woman to dress in a very alluring way and then dance seductively with a superstar on stage, on the Instagram or on the TV, that kind of stuff?
And if we're being honest, that has been okay. That's like I said, that's like when I like literally couldn't believe the outrage. I was just like, number one, she's not dressed no worse than any other one has.
Well, the only thing I would add to that is when it comes to a man watching his woman dance with other
I said,
men,
like I said, like I don't.
Apart from maybe like stage shows or whatever.
This is what I mean, and it's
always been but the thing
well,
is,
I've seen, but come on, bro. How many times have we, even women? I've seen people like who's supposed to have been like who are people's quote unquote icons, right? So you've got like the Beyonce's, Janet Jackson, boy. I mean, for those who know, boy, yeah, I've seen like the likes of some of them pull up a man, put him on a seat. And like we've seen all of this. You just have to go to R&B days. Like they've pulled like, so this whole thing about you can't go near, like that's never been the standard when you go to these R&B shows. Like people have pulled up people from the crowd. Like if you've seen a genuine concert, like this is what I mean. This has been the standard from that time. They pick up people from the opposite sex and they do this. It's love music. Do you know what I mean? It's grown folks' team.
It makes sense. But what I'm saying is, what we're saying is, there's behavioral patterns that are for single people that you're free, and does that change when you're married with kids? And so we're saying that when you're single, you can go on stage and participate in the seductive kind of humping. No, I'm not saying that I'm supporting that as a thing. I'm just saying this is what goes on there, and as adults they do that, right? They pay their money and do that. I'm saying that, does that behavior stop when someone is married and their wife, husband sees that? Or we say as a community that once you go to R&B night, married with kids or not, whatever their artist wishes to do should be fair game. So this is the conversation we're having. But what I'll find is, if you talk to majority of men I've seen, seem to all be on the same page, that they're not best pleased with their wife, the mother of the child, if they're together, being on stage with any man, doing any kind of like role play, simulation, entertainment kind of mockery sort of thing.
I call cap on that, bro, because like I said, no one had an issue. No one had the issue with it when she posted that picture. No one said boo. It was only when he put the thing, now it's an outrage, and that was because of the response that he got. And like I said, I've seen too many examples of. I mean, if you're saying that should be the standard, okay, that's a different question. That's the start. Whether or not, whatever. But as in this world we're living at now, I get, like I said from the beginning, I get the whole. But this, I don't want to be down on our relationship, but there was an aspect of immaturity, right? If you're not even going to have a communication with her privately, like, to me that's probably the biggest thing in it, like, to me. So I think that kind of set it off the whole ball rolling. But if we're going to talk about in a theoretic world, like if should a couple and stuff like that, then I agree with you. But in the world that we're at now, what I think the thing is that what Kiki did is not different to her. How many other people have done it and done it worse than her? Do you know what I mean? And there's no backlash on these people. So it's
What?
like, again, it's the picking and choosing.
Are
of
those people married with kids though?
Yeah, like that. I've just like, this is what I mean. Like, I mean, I've been to a lot of concerts and I've seen a lot of concerts, and this is a regular occurrence with an Usher concert, a genuine concert. I've been to a Jodeci concert.
Would you
I've been to a
co-sign that though?
Jaheim.
So
But at the same time, bro, I've seen it with men. I've seen married men who has grown up with a picture of what's Janet Jackson's Janet Jackson's got one album that I swear to you that certain men in a certain era still hold in their head, right? I forgot the album, right? But yeah, there's been men who, and the women have said, like, you know, I've known he's loved that forever. That's my husband. It was a one. And she's got him on stage and she's singing to him and she's being Janet Jackson. He then gets escorted off by stage with like as an escort, or there's no problem, there's no like security, and then he goes back to his woman. And this is what I'm saying, the difference of maturity. Like, to some people, to that man, to that woman, when her husband come back, it wasn't, we're over, it's a problem. It was a little fun for a little time. You're not gonna get Janet.
Let's ask. What we can do is, you're obviously a woman, and there's men here. So what we can get the consensus of how women perceive this. So if you're a woman in the group and you're married,
all our women, God.
Yeah, put a one. Put a one if you're a woman. If you're a man, put a one if you're okay with your partner going to an event and doing the selective dancing with the artist on stage, and potentially wearing very, very alluring clothing, this kind of stuff, right? If put a one if you're okay with that, put a two if you're not okay with that, and that's both men and women. It will be good to see the consensus of how men perceive things and how women perceive things.
Yeah, but they have to be honest, because there's women that I walk out and I see women's butt cheeks. Do you know what I mean? They're not all single. So this whole thing about being sexy and things like that, I mean, yeah, I mean, I just think they need to be honest. In this day and age, you're really going to tell your woman that's too sexy and go to a Beyonce concert.
So we've got a two. So we've got 1, 2 saying that.
Is that a male or a female? I just don't want to assume.
We don't want to assume, but
let us know, because brother said that he wants it from the women and the men.
Women and men. Put M.
Yeah, M and the number. Oh, sorry, the M or F.
Letter and a number. Right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because we had a show before about femininity, and this was a couple months back, and there was a woman
on the panel?
Say again?
Was I on the panel?
I don't think you might. No, it was another lady who was on the panel, but you wasn't this time. It would be good if you were there. And she was explaining certain Mel. There you go. And she was explaining certain like traits of femininity and stuff. And she was trying to say that for her research, when she's talking to men, she's asked questions and there's things that men don't like. And there's one of the things like I think one of the examples was aggression in public, like aggression towards someone when your man's there, when your man can be that aggressive person towards the problem, right? And I think that's
saying like causing like an aggressive problem while you're out with your man.
No, it's more so something's going on where someone's been disrespectful, and rather than waiting for your man to handle it, you handle it. This was
right.
Okay. And I think when she gave the example, I think we asked, the men agreed, but there were some women, and the woman on the panel said, I disagree with that, because as far as I'm aware, a man always wants to know that a woman can handle herself, and I think that was where the misunderstanding was. This woman did the research, plus the men had agreed with it, but the woman herself had a preconceived notion, and this happens vice versa with men as well. And that's why actually asking the question is important, to get a consensus, like, how do you honestly feel about something, rightly or wrongly, and then from that you can have templates of, okay, you can break these templates, you can turn up how you want to dress and dance with anyone, but because it's now a template of how people are together, it's best you talk to your partner saying, by the way, I intend to go to this R&B club. I really love this gentleman. Yeah, I want to go on stage with him and dance. And
well, she didn't know she was going to go on stage with him, but I hear you. Like, that needs to be a, like, you know, scenarios. If that is definitely like a real big breaker for that person out of all things in the world, then they need to say scenarios. Like, you're right. Like, communication is so key, and that's one of the things that you like. Do you know what I mean? That you really wanted to push on for people, and I think that. I know you want to do the black love, but this communication thing is so important, you know, like, because not everyone hears the words as you say it. So you could say that and the girls think, okay, he doesn't like this, but he needs to do a scenario. If an issue is that she dressed up too sexy and and that artist happens to pull you up on stage, and that's a deal breaker, you need to say the scenarios. You know what I mean? Like, if it's
No,
that
you're right.
deep,
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I would say this though, and this is not to be controversial. I would like to think that women have and men have a freedom to do what they're doing when they get together. But there's some people, men and women, they put sanctions on a person's movement to minimize any kind of shock, right? And sometimes it becomes possessive and aggressive and definitely unnecessary, right? And I think one of the sanctions is, now that you're with me, you can't go out to a public a party kind of venue without me there, because I don't want to know that you're dancing a canoe with another woman, man, or whatever, right? So,
wow. I mean, there's some religions that do that, right? Like no free mixing and things like that. So I mean, you know what I mean? There's a place for everyone, and there's a spot for everyone if it's that deep. But this is what I'm saying, like, if it's and I think
this is important though, because when you say that deep and stuff, this is why there's something that bothers women, and we have to listen to women and hear what they're saying, and there's certain things that bother men, and we have to listen to men and hear what they're saying. And sometimes it is really about understanding, like, do you like the can you tolerate this, yes or no? And there's certain, what you got to understand is
you got to remember that not all men had a problem with this, bro. Like, I've seen podcasts where a certain man's like, he should just handle this behind doors.
No, that's
you know what I mean?
I would put that as a different thing, in the sense of him going public is problematic, but now his public's now become a topic, right? So
but what I'm saying is, the only thing that they said is that he should have gone outside. But how she dressed and stuff like that is just the times. Like, it's like the opposite version when a man meets a woman. Like, you know, you wanted a baddie, you wanted everything else, and then when you got her, she started acting like a baddie, and you were surprised. Like, she's Keke Palmer. You like pictures and promote her wearing those outfits when she is out, not with you. She's with countless other actors and celebrities constantly. It wasn't an issue. You're liking the post and saying that you love it. Her going out sexily might be a problem for certain men, but it was not a problem for him.
Well, let me make it easy, because I think what the men are trying to say here is, you're right, in the sense of they have this relationship, where him and her can dress in alluring ways, and when they go out, I think the issue is it's a combo. It's your dressed in a law.
That's what I mean. So that's
a free strike. It's a free strike.
That's what the issue.
Here's the free strike.
Usher.
No, here's a free strike. It might be a fourth strike. Yeah, she's dressed in a alluring way.
That he didn't mind before.
Yeah, so but remember, how we judge free strikes is three things happen at once. Dressed in the wrong way.
Yeah, but bro, how can it be a strike when it's never been an issue before?
Let me explain. I'm just giving you. I'm building up.
So you're talking for other people that's taking it on. So it's probably a strike for someone else. So it won't strike for him.
Well, let me tell you how men, because I'm a man and I've spoken to the men, and unless there's a man who sees differently, pull it in.
Well, come on, man. There's only one man who's put.
Yeah, we need more just to get a percentage.
I think Raven's definitely a 2 in this. Would you say you're a 2 in this as well, bro?
Well, I'm a 2 before that even happened.
Okay, so Raven's a 2. So we
there's
need
certain rules. I don't even get, like, in public. I don't even use profanity and stuff like that, right? So it's like the rules I have for my household is very different. So that will have a discussion about you want to go and.
Yeah, but you're just asking if it's a 2 in it. So I'm just asking if it's a 2 for you in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But this is what I'm saying. But different households have different ways. So one person's sensitivity is different to another. So to just say all men wouldn't like that, I think it's a particular
you're right.
Man that would not like that. Do you know what I mean?
But what I'm trying to explain here, which is might be working, is I reckon things in isolation will not bother certain men or many men, right? So I think the combination is how she's dressed, dancing with a person, he's not there, and that person might be a sex symbol. Who knows, right? Maybe that might be the one that needs to really.
Yeah, he definitely he could definitely have that title.
But what I'm saying is, that's the four things that's hitting someone at one time. So, one of those things, she's dressing sexually. He might not care, let that go. Maybe if she dressed like a nun, and then did like a dance.
Just like dashing like Usher would have been a problem.
It might be less of a problem if she dressed. I don't know. This is something that you have to ask them in, yeah. And then
I'm waiting for them to respond.
Yeah.
And you have to dry right now, bro. Come on, man.
Hold on. The third would be.
If you dress like a nun, it'd be all right.
Here's a question. Here's a very, very important question to you women.
Come on, women.
If you're a woman and you're dressing alluring, and then you're obviously going to a show with a sex symbol that you admired since youth, and you're there, and you go on stage to dance with them, would you still do that act if your husband was actually with you in the VIP?
Bro, yes, there's people that
Okay.
do this, bro. Yes, what I'm saying,
Alright.
like the sexual aspect is not. It's only in some people's like Usher's been paid to be sexy. Like it's the show. Like this is what I mean. Some people just literally see it as that. A lot of people nowadays do. The standard is. I remember when I'm talking like this, I'm not saying that this is for myself, but this is what I mean. I could put my big girl's head on and look at it and just like, do you know what I mean? See it for what it is, kind of thing. I'm not saying that is right, but I'm saying in a like in a theory kind of world, I agree with you. Do you understand? But where we are right now, I'm just saying like. What to the question that you've said that happens, like there's people who have their partners, and like I said to you, there's wives who go to like the concert and they ask or they've put a little thing in for their man to be put on stage as a birthday gift.
Yeah, but you got but let's be honest, right? No, I don't like going down this way, but there's certain things that men can look past a woman, but a woman can't look past a man, right?
No, but that's true.
So, for example, right, I was looking at some study that, and obviously this doesn't include religious people. They say that if a woman, no, this was study about the show. If a woman perceives that her man used to be homosexual, then this is going to highly likely for her to leave him. If he was this in the past, and there's reasons for that. Well, if a man finds out that
you said so fast, I didn't get that. Can you say that again?
So if a woman find out that her man, like he comes and goes, by the way, before I met you, I was a homosexual. I love men, but now I love women. Yeah, they said the ratio of women are more likely to go, okay, well, I don't know if I want to pursue this relationship. While with men, it's not really an issue unless it's like religious stuff involved, this kind of stuff where it's like, okay, you used to be a lesbian, but now you're straight. Cool. There is no, but with women are more likely to perceive in a way like, okay, well, that shows me that you're indecisive or you've done something that I don't agree with, or maybe you're going to go back there and compete with two types of people. So then in that case, but what I'm saying is both the women and men handle it very differently, right? And I think this might be a scenario where you identify where with a woman, you're like, okay, I want you to go on stage and dance with the sex symbol of yesteryear, while a man's like, I don't want you to do that. And I'm saying that I guess
I agree with you. Like I said, to me, my point of view is talk to the individual you're with. Like I don't think there's a generic rule for one. That's what I've definitely learned.
I'm saying here we're talking about templates here, so you should be doing that anyway. But as a community, what is a template? Because
but then I agree with you. Of course, a tempo should be in an ideal world that if you're married and stuff and you've got a kid, that the dress sense needs. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. To me, it's the dress sense, because even if we take the BET Awards recently that happened and all of the kinds of scandal about that, it's actually was surprising that people were actually complaining that it was too ratchet. Like I really wanted to see when the level would drop, when people would actually decide something is too ratchet, and the BET was that moment within our community, right? Yeah. And I just think it was a lot of the same thing. There was another girl there who's definitely low vibrational, right? Krishan, and she was pregnant twerking, and she had I think the best way I could describe it is like probably something you'd wear like in a bikini top, right? Remember, she's big, heavy, pregnant, bro. Yeah, and then like a type. It was like, for me, it was very trashy, right?
Okay.
But it is the kind of current standard, right? This is what I'm saying.
You said something that's important, haven't you? And I think because we're in the current standard, this phone's just going on. Because you're talking about current standard. So, for example, I'm an extremist, right? The template I have is none of that will be happening, and that kind of stuff has to be like special, tailored kind of.
No, okay. Like I think I'm just, because the conversation kind of jumps from reality to like what we would like to see in it. So if we're talking about what we like to see, then I'm definitely 100% not disagreeing with you. That's what I was trying to say. Like, for me, even though that's the current standard, to me it's distasteful. I don't think it's helping people. Like recently as well, this would have been a good thing to highlight, of a black woman, India Hyrie, unquestionably black, definitely conscious. She made a statement about it, and she did it in a way as a woman that was, I think, very healthy. Where she started to pointed out two people that she actually admired, but she didn't like the way that they acted or they dressed. And again, this was at the Essence Festival. So I think it's good now that in the reality world, people are talking about it because it is the current standard. But in the idealistic world, no, like I don't think black women need to be doing this quote unquote ghetto fabulous kind of stereotype of us. So I agree with you on there. I'm just saying that, like,
So
if you want to have a generic rule, then fine. But in a real, like, everyone's not. There's not one rule that fits all in
the
the
thing is,
world. Kind of thing.
in the real world,
Conversation is definitely
let me explain.
necessary.
You're right. You're correct. In the real world, black people are collectively inadequate, right?
Exactly.
So because of that, we understand that every decision made from the mass might not be in the black people's best interest. But we recognize we live in the real world. But what we're doing here is going, okay, this is what is, and we understand how it got there, because you see a line like there was one time women were dressed in this way and men were dressed in this way, and 20 years later, after these events, they're now dressed in this way, doing these things.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, had this had been, say, the 60s, maybe a woman doing what Kiki did today would have been frowned upon, and you know, cameras would have smashed, right? So I'm saying that humans have the right to kind of do what they want. I'm saying, as a collective community, what should be our standard when it comes to
definitely
dignity,
no
right?
booty out after you've just had a baby.
Yeah, dignity.
100%
But then we know that when we see Rick James and these kind of people, these are people who are forming their own templates. We know, oh, they're doing their own thing, like, you know. And
I just laugh because you use Rick James as a template. It's just
because
it's like it literally sums up. Like, it's just I hear you.
Because because now everyone's Rick James, but when Rick James was Rick James back in the days, it was always Rick James. Do you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, that's actually a point. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, and I think that's what I want to take. And also, where I wanted to go with it is women, and we can ask it vice versa with the men. If your men came to you and told you, I'm not comfortable with you doing this, would you care? Or would you say, well, you know, and the reason we say this is because
that's a
good
question.
She then got, after the backlash, she stood with what she wanted to do, but then once it dies down, she's then left alone with her family, right? And then that's when, you know, it's like, okay, well,
that's when the real world kicks in, and like, you have to deal with your decisions based on
your family, your husband, his brother, whatever. It's like,
definitely.
And I think that's what the more of the story was, the media promoting certain words and back and forth and arguing.
Exactly.
But it's
that's
like,
why I think like the real moral story is he should have kept it in house. He should have handled her in house.
Without question.
This wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened. But what I would say is,
that was a very emotional act as well. And I think that needs to be said. Like, if you do find yourself in this scenario, even if this happens, I think another thing that does need to be mentioned, like, this is not, again, a progressive way to handle, because no one's perfect as well. Like, that's why I don't really do this all. Like, I get to have a general feel, but when you deal with humans, like, no one's perfect. Someone's gonna mess up, yeah. And it might not always be intentional. She might not have thought, I'm gonna go out today and stress out my man and have him embarrass us all. And now I don't think that was her plan.
I
do you know what I mean?
100%.
So what do we do when we are in a loving relationship? Hopefully, just had a baby. Hopefully, 2 black people we want to see together. Like, what do we do if we find ourselves where a partner's doing something that we don't like? Number one, as a man, we don't go to social media first. You know what I mean? Like, that needs to be said as well.
Let me pause you there. What you said there is very important, and that's why I have to pause, because it's one of the things I would push. Like, try to keep as many personal things out of the social media as possible, because by the time people actually hear it and it spreads around the world, you could have already
resolved it. Exactly.
But now the legacy is still circulating, right? So that's a case point, and I agree. And especially as a man, you know, that is definitely an emotional thing to do. But if we agree with that, I guess the story we want to go is, what is a template we push forward? And does a man have the ability to tell his woman, I'm not comfortable with you dressed in a certain way in public, dancing in a certain way with a certain person who's not your husband?
Exactly. And I think a man has a right to say that. And I think if men feel like they don't have a right to say that after they've built a relationship with an individual, had a baby with them, where you got family, and that's why I said to you, that's why I was saying, if it's really that deep, you need to talk about it. Do you understand? Because what might not be, because she's in the industry, so what might not be nothing to her is something that's definite to you in regards to your manhood, which is even worse. So you need to be able to communicate. So communication skills are are key, and women need to be able to allow or accommodate an environment where your man can seriously tell you the stuff that will really annoy him, because no one can read anyone.
The
You know what I
concern
mean?
I hear this. The concern I have is the more there is a disconnect, meaning black men are going to manosphere talking points, black women are going to like European collective group talking points, whatever it might be, right? And they're in isolation and they're developing these ideas in different silos. Then what happens now? Whenever a woman goes to get advice about her husband or whatever, she's going to the same silo. And when a man's trying to get advice about his wife, he goes to the same silo. So that's why you might get these certain points where a woman might have no idea that her husband might not be best pleased if she goes on stage in very tight revealing clothes and dance with men. She's like, whoa, this is what we do, right? So this is why it's important to have like cultural templates, which you can shatter and break, but it's good to have this discussion. I would like to think in a future time, a woman wouldn't be dancing with men on stage,
especially just having a baby and a butt out. Yeah.
Once again, it's more than just your man's being jealous. And that's another thing with women. I can tell you this, right? How a man is judging his woman is how she represents him when she's alone, and does she do anything that can bring shame to him or the family? This is much more. Many men really hold this, and it's like the loyalty you can show when he's not there, and how a man perceives this. So
yeah, absolutely, he's gonna that stuff. But
what man? So for example, what man is so you have a man, and you give a person power. So in that scenario, there's the usher gentleman, there's the dancing man who I forget who is the husband, and there's the wife. Now she has a chance to give power to someone, right? Who does she give power? So if the usher dancing is seen as giving him power, in the backlash of it, what does she do to spell out that no, this is the man I love, blah blah blah. This is what men judge, right? And it's very important that women know this. And it's very important that women also let men know how they process things. But I've yet to see one man who agrees with this concept.
I'll show you a few videos. There's loads, bro.
Well, yeah, we could do a case study in that. Are these black men?
Yeah. Because like they said, they were saying what I was saying to you, bro. Like, it's very effeminate act. Like, you didn't speak to her, nothing. The first thing you do is splash out onto the internet.
Let me say this. Let's just make sure that we're on the same page. All men agree with this kind of talking on social. Well, not all men. Let me say.
Exactly.
There's
this is what I'm saying. The all men thing.
From masculine men. Masculine men do not agree with airing out your dirty laundry and your problems and your tears on social media, right? However, when it comes to this, that the airing out is the issue, and we can put it as a part one and part two. The issue that we're discussing is how men feel about their women being on stage with another man, dressed a certain way, dancing and canoodling, this kind of thing, right? And I'm saying through that, I don't think there's too many men who agree with it. You're gonna get some. There's some man whose wife makes porn, all this kind of stuff, right? And that's for I see that as Rick James.
That's a bit extreme. I wouldn't class that the same as porn.
No. I'm giving you.
I think I'm hearing what you're saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying this today. This is actually a thing that's also going around. This man who's a famous European podcaster of some kind.
I think it was a manosphere thing or something. I saw it pop up as well.
Yeah, this kind of thing, right? But what I'm saying is, it'll be interesting to have the black man on this panel come on, who approves or doesn't mind of his wife dancing with other men in an R&B kind of seductive way. If we can just hear him, and then that way maybe the women might get a better understanding. But from what I see, I have not seen one.
No, I get it. That's why I said from the beginning, like, do you know what I mean? That's why these kind of ones, when it's based on celebrity couples, I always grapple with. Do you know what I mean? Because again, it's a celebrity couple, and I think you're right. I think men look at the character of a woman quietly, so they will look at how she holds herself, how she presents herself. Yes. And I definitely think he did that with Keke Palmer. Like, when he met her, he definitely knew who she was. Like I said, he saw her videos, he saw how she dressed, he liked it. He saw how she held herself in public. He liked it, So again,
I don't think the dressing is something. I think.
If I could just finish, I get what you're saying about the usher thing. I was going to get to that. So to me, it's like he married Kiki. To me, Kiki, what she did on the show is nothing that Kiki don't do anyway. So she's been in other relationships. It's just that she happens to have a child with this one. And in other relationships, she did the same thing. She'd go on concert stages, sing. She's a proper, like, what we'd call like was it something brat, a show brat? She's like in showgirl school, you know, like them kind of people that are very out, loud, bubbly, da, da, da. So she's done this with other men in a relationship.
No,
There's
I
been
agree.
no scandal. So like if
this is and this is something that the
so
man
again, like he met a woman that again dressed exactly the same, did the same in other relationships, and she did the same in his relationship.
Well, the thing is, the kind of
and that's why I say that the communication should have been clear. So he should have said to her when he got with her, before he even had a baby, that, babes, I know this is what you normally do. I know that I met you, you was like this, but now going forward, and I'm having a baby with you, like, can you not do that with male artists? You know, if it's not have your bum out, but I mean, if you see male artists, please don't hug them hello how you used to, or go on stage with them. This is what I'm saying to you, like, for me, it's the communication factor on this kind of scenario, you know. Like, I don't think that people show themselves all of a sudden. I'm a strong believer that people have traits and they will show themselves to you if you just stop and listen to them.
What's important about this conversation, how I want to expand it, is the miscommunication and misunderstanding between black men and black women. And I think you might get a whole lot of black women who everything you said, they say. And then you're going to have a whole lot of black men, everything that this man says, they say. And that's important because that's where the understanding is different. And also, I think the manosphere has let certain things go that maybe people kept secret. And that is, with men, this is how the men's psychology. You can find a man who will be with a woman and he's very happy for her to do all the things that we might call alluring, like dress a certain way, act a certain way, because he has no intention of making her a mother or a wife.
Or a wife, exactly.
Right? But when he marries her, then this is where, the person he marries, there's an expectation that this is different. So
but that's the difference. He married that girl, bro. It's not like when he finds a new girl. He found a new girl. And this by their own manosphere. Yes. I don't even want to credit this to manosphere because this is like real men have this attitude anyway. This has been from elders. So they've been saying that you watch the characteristics of a woman. This is what I'm saying, bro. Do you know what I mean? I'm not backing a side. I'm in the community side. I'm in the family side. No, if you're going to look for a woman, look at the traits. He saw this in her. Men have said this. I can get videos of men saying what I'm saying now. I don't know if it's just because it's me saying it.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So again, like,
jealousy
writings on the wall.
I would say jealousy. I'm sure. So remember, his unique. This unique scenario here is one thing, but we're using it as a concept. So I would say that this is more of a concept of how men talk to women and the expectations. And can men tell women that now we're married with children, I don't want you dancing with other men on stage in public, dressed like in the carnival kind of gear, whatever it might be. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's important because, and the reason why I say it's important because
it is important. I was just laughing at the carnival gear. But I hear what you're saying, and and that's what I'm saying. I think that's, to me, that's probably more of a pressing, real kind of question that we should be taking at this. And I think most men don't perhaps feel like they can have this conversation.
Well, this is the point. This is the point, and then the reason why I'm prefacing is because the TFL or TFI, I forgot what the show was called. They're using these kind of European feminist words like shaming, right?
Yeah.
And it's like if a man feels that he can't tell the mother of his child who has a mortgage and is married to that I'm not comfortable with you in carnival gear dancing with heartthrob R&B stars doing romantic kind of simulation on stage. If he can't say this because this is seen as shaming, then you're going to have a lot of men who will not want to be. I would hate for, and this is what this now goes into manosphere, where they equate that mentality with black women. Man, it's not black women, but because they might only date black women, they create this scenario where I can't talk to black women, so I'm going to leave. And this is the kind of thing we definitely want to tackle here, where you can talk to black women, and we create two scenarios where.
And it's okay to do that. It's healthy. That's why I say I'm not saying it under their kind of talking about. So I say communication. You know, talk about these things. Like, if it's that deep to you, it might not just be deep for that other person. That's what it boils down to. Like, it's really just old school real things. Like, you gotta have communication. And on the back of what you're saying about how they worded it, shaming, this is what I said. That is true. And this is when Western media comes into our mindset. And this is what I'm saying. Like, that whole thing about shaming, let's put that aside or analyze it for a second. If he had spoken to her one-on-one, what kind of public shaming would have happened? And this is the kind of thing like what Cal and I've said, or you've said, other loads of our intellectual greats have said so many times. Like, you need to know the psychology, the politics, whatever you want to say about it, both the country that you're in or the media that you're in, right? He should have known better to not have made that public. Because the only time that you can classify what he's doing, talking to his woman about something intimate, is the fact that he'd done something intimate on an open platform for everyone to see. And those who want to interpret it as shaming, now you've given them the leverage to do that.
No, I mean, I think it's a double-edged sword. I agree. We shouldn't be doing that in public, but now it's done. It's now a case study, you see, and it's a case study of how to minimize it from happening again. Right?
No, I hear that's the reason why you're saying. I'm just saying to you what you're saying about them now talking about it, putting on these, what do you say, these white or feminist kind of lingos on it. And what I'm saying is exactly, I'm agreeing.
Here is a married man with a child.
I don't think they're married.
With a woman. They're not married?
No.
Oh,
he hasn't proposed to her.
Okay, well, either or. She probably will marry Mary now. Especially if she's rich.
Well, I mean, we do. It's not even. We do promote black men marrying our women.
Like, no, I'm saying it's probably on her terms now. She's the rich one, so she might not want to marry.
She was always the rich one when he got there, though, bro. This is what I mean.
What I'm saying is, you know how with not that we should. I was looking at a list. I think it was posted about divorce and who you know who's inherited a lot of money in it. But obviously, in this relationship, she's the millionaire.
Yeah, she's Keke Palmer.
So marrying someone, she's probably going to be more on her, you know.
Well, I mean, you know, the pickings of black men with that kind of matching income from what she's had since a child, and I think her mother was a manager, and they're still close. So again, I would have thought that's good, like business management, black business management. So I do think that she's quite wealthy now. To see the equivalent of men that are doing that, as Fifi would say, most of them won't probably be looking that direction. So the pickings is small. So, you know, she's damned if she do, she damned if she don't. She dated out with someone with that matched her bank account, that'd be a problem. Maybe. So if she's now going for a man, she's not looking at his expense, right? Clearly, it's not about money. Well, it was. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but I'm not in a relationship. She says it was for love. He says it was for love. So I'm gonna take it for their word. So it's
Right. So good points there. So family, we have actually at the last minute. It looks by my timer. We covered 2 topics today. We were joined by the great contribution by Empress Kush. Big up brother Dominic as well.
Big up brother and Kwame.
Kwame, is it Kwame? Yeah, Kwame. Big up brother Kwame. We did ask some questions, but not everyone wanted to give their opinions. We understand that. We're trying to flush out people's opinions when it comes to the black man, black woman dynamic. 2 topics we tackled today is: do black people from different communities respect each other's historical trauma? That's something we have to unpack away because there is certain civil wars going on here and there, and we have to really try to find solutions to that.
I didn't actually know about the fact that they're actually now beef, because I tapped out. I'm not even going back in again now. So the only research is for people who want to venture in there. I just get it from them. But what I was going to say is, so they're now beefing within each other. So because I know O'Shea's got a thing, and you said that they don't really like Fresh and Fit. So,
So in that,
so please highlight us, because some of us are not there. So
so O'Shea and man, they don't get, and also the O'Shea brother and the 2 they were reviewing the 2 African and Caribbean, but they don't go. And there's also another African and Caribbean.
Is that the Preach
and the other one?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's married to a white woman.
Oh God.
That team, they don't get on with the but they're not really manosphere, but they tackle them.
Sorry.
But then there is, like, they're all fighting. To be honest,
so there is literal infighting within
look at the English one, because you saw the English infighting, right? Yeah, as in the pearly girl, the Sarah, and the and all that kind of stuff, right? So they're very prone for infighting. This is the thing. This is why with black Betterment here, the philosophies are important. It's black people helping black people, right? So we should. That's why name calling and this kind of stuff has to be minimized, because black people are easily triggered to start wars amongst ourselves, right? We've seen it, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have codes to make sure you don't repeat it. So that's why we start by saying black people and black people. There's to be no other people. If we use the manosphere as a case study, what happened? Black men and black women started fighting. So already there's an issue. Black men did their own thing, but yet there was no rules for a white woman to come and lead that movement. Once again, it's the code. You can't do that because black people and black people, right? Also understand that black men and black women can't move ahead of each other because you're literally on the same coin, heads and tails, right? So understanding certain things and limiting certain kinds of way of communicating. That's why we're talking about today how black men and black women talk to each other, because if we're not talking, then things going on ahead, and next thing you know, we're on social media complaining about Usher and
Your missus dancing with Usher on the
this
stage.
kind of stuff, right? So we don't want to have our own segregated men, women groups, whatever it is. But yeah, we're getting there. But like
also, bro, please, I thought you'd touch on it unless I missed it, but I was on early today, so I don't think you did. You need to touch on the City. What is it? The Manchester City guy.
What's that guy?
The rape charges.
Who's that?
Let me do a quick Google.
Was it football?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what I thought you'd bring it up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
He
plays for Manchester City. 9's in the chat. 9, help me out, please. I just saw it recently on the news. He's been acquitted, but the amount of rape cases that was against. Oh, Dominic, someone's in the chat. Someone tell
Benjamin,
me.
Is a guy called
Benjamin? Yeah.
Benjamin?
So I'm not looking at the chat. Did you see it? You found it. You're
I don't know anything about it. There's a black brother called Benjamin.
You need to look into that. I heard they said that he's been exonerated from all the charges, but bro, one of the charges sounded hefty. I'm talking about 3 or 4, 5, 6 rape cases that he had that he was non-guilty on, and therefore this one resulted. I was like, what is going? Yeah, we need some help on that one, bro. Definitely need to look into that one.
Last week we were looking at brothers in the community who are molesting children.
Right. Yeah.
And how to deal with that. So what you're saying is, are you saying that this guy is a person who could be guilty of these charges?
No. He's been found innocent.
Oh, so that means it could have been like a setup of this kind of stuff. Is that what
could be? But again, it just kind of, it
The other guy wasn't. The other guy was us cleaning house in the sense of.
Oh no, yeah. This no. Yeah, we know that from last week. That's a whole different ball game. But this footballer it was briefly on the news. Very briefly, considering the charges that was accused of him, and he's just come off scot-free, and that's quite rare, to be honest with you. So
maybe we'll do that. Maybe because we'll do the
And even when they were talking, sorry to interrupt you, I think that was the thing. If you see a video of it on the news, I think she's supposed to be his lawyer, but the way bro, like I think I'll DM it to you, yeah. But the way he was putting his arms around, she's like, listen, this has affected this man badly. It's like basically, like what you and Cal was talking about, especially Cal, like going over to the white side and feeling the dopamine. Like, I think he's messed up, honestly, because she was just like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, his mental health is taken, like rape, and he was a footballer. So obviously it's a lot. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Has he got
when they learned their lesson, brother?
Has he got a child for European lady where he has to pay money a month?
No, so I don't know. I didn't know. Like I said, like it just shocked me that this man had so much rape cases and just got let off. But I don't watch.
To see just as a case study, the ethnicities of the women who've come forward, just like with the Michael Jackson case, all the people coming forward were European who were saying he was a pedophile, and what was the other guy? Tiger Woods, whatever issue it was, although he was only with European people. But I think the picture I'm trying to paint with the Michael Jackson case is you have a guy who's loved by black and white people, black and white, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to these cases, there isn't one black person who's accused him of this act, while it's all European people. And it's just to see that kind of from the optics of it. And I'm seeing this football player. But saying that, with this football player,
I've never looked at the optics like that,
They only ever go with Europeans usually. So white people. So, but anyway, we'll get by that. Guys, it's a good topic. We'll see if we can maybe cover next week, maybe. But until then, Black Batman, thank you to Empress Kush, always with great insight. And yeah, Black Batman to all Black Batman. See you guys.